This next video is going to introduce you to the learning journal. And the key to the learning journal is for each time you carry out any form of learning, whether that's formal learning in a college setting or whether that is some work shadowing or a course you've attended at work, it's really important to record all of that learning. There's a couple of reasons why it's important. Firstly, so we can see that the learning you are taking is having an impact against that scorecard criteria, that you are developing your knowledge, skills and behaviours against the standards. And secondly, the learning journal function helps you record your off-the-job hours. And as an apprentice, you have to do 20% off-the-job hours. And as part of the induction course, you will have learned about the off-the-job hours. So I've got some entries here from my scorecard, but I'm now going to click in and record some off-the-job learning. So it's got my fictitious name here, and I'm going to say I've attended college. Now I can backdate, but I can't adjust this date here. So this date is the date you've entered the entry. So it is important to try it on the day of doing the learning to input into your learning journal. I'm going to select from my category. So I'm going to have attendance at college and the date. So let's say it was yesterday, the time we started. So and then the total duration. So I'm going to put 7 and you'll see that it automatically ticks off the job. If you're unsure what we mean by off the job, just hover over and it explains there that off the job learning consists of workshops, shadowing, lectures that take place outside of your normal day-to-day working environment. But it can also include training that isn't part of your normal work duties. What's really important when you put your learning journals in is that you actually reflect, and there are a number of models on reflection, but the key things are: what is it that you've actually done, what impact has that learning had, what further learning do you need to take. So you put your justification in, and if you've attended something and got a certificate, you can here upload any documents that will support that, or it might be an agenda or some PowerPoints, because you might want to revisit these, particularly when you come to your endpoint assessment. They'll talk about what CPD have you done, so it is important to record as much information as possible. What we then can do is link that to your scorecard criteria. So we're saying, by attending that learning, what impact has that had on your knowledge, skills and behaviours? So I'm going to tick this one here. And I can just scroll down to see the other criteria. And then I'm going to click into my knowledge and see what knowledge. And if I just drag over, I'll see the rest of the sentence there. And then finally into behaviours. So I'm just going to press link. So I'm saying that particular learning meets 3 pieces of criteria. So this is your own personal judgment. It's not going to be right or wrong. It's just how you feel, what you've learned has an impact against that knowledge, skills and behaviours. You then simply press create. So that becomes an entry. So we've got a few entries now, and I'm going to put another entry in. And don't underestimate, even if it is just an hour or half an hour, this will all contribute towards your learning and you're off the job. And then go to criteria again. Now, link activities, if you want to link several things together that had a common theme, you can do that. Privacy also allows you to say who can see your journal. So unless you select a privacy setting, anybody that has access to your portfolio can see your journal entries. So if you've attended something and you felt something maybe controversial, you didn't want your line manager to read your journal, your reflection, you can actually click into privacy here and you can select who can see that. And then I go to create again. So whilst we're inputting all of these learning journals, this then has an impact on your scorecard and also your off the job hours. So I'm just going to go back to our scorecard, and you'll be prompted by your skills coach to revisit your scorecard every 8 weeks as a minimum. So I'm going to click into start scoring, and what you'll see is when we go to score ourselves, what happens is it shows us our previous entry. So here I was scoring myself a 2, but it's also showing me my entry for any of my learning journals. This is why it's really important, because it'll jog your memory and go, oh yes, I did do that learning. So I might feel actually now I'm still learning, but I'm actually a little bit more knowledgeable than I was before. And then I can click on next. So here, yeah, I was 0. So actually I'm going to say, actually, I feel like I'm a 2 now on that. It is your own judgment where you believe you are. Okay, so what will then happen is when you do complete the whole scorecard, it'll capture a new scale and it will then start showing your increase in your knowledge, skills and behaviours. So that's the learning journal. As I said, also the learning journal has an impact on your off the job hours. So I've just selected my portfolio and there's an area here called off the job. So every time you enter any entries in your learning journal, it will record that as off the job hours, and this will contribute to your 20% off the job. So it is really important every time you do any off the job learning or any learning, whether it is off the job or it's in your own time, to reflect on that and tick it if it's done in working time. If you're unsure if something is off the job, speak to your skills coach, and you can always edit any of your entries. So if I go back into my learning journal, if I felt there was an entry that was incorrect, or I wanted to add more to it or link more criteria, you'll see here on the right hand side a little button that says edit. You can also delete any entries if you want as well. So it is important each time you do any learning, you go to your learning journal, you enter the date, the time, you select whether that was done off the job, you link that to your criteria, so criteria against the knowledge, skills and behaviour, which is basically the job description for which you're working towards, and then you save that. If you have any questions or queries, you can speak to your skills coach, or you can go to the help guides on OneFile. So on the home page on OneFile, on the right hand side, you'll see question marks, and those question marks will take you to guides about how you can use various areas of the system.